Good evening and welcome to the regular Board of Aldermen meeting at the Salado Municipal Building at 301 North Stagecoach Road, Salado, Texas. The date is May 15, 2025. It is 6:30 p.m. Mr. De La Rosa, please call the roll.
Mayor, all members are present. You have a quorum.
Thank you, sir. As we begin this Board of Aldermen meeting, let us take a moment to reflect on our shared commitment to serve the diverse community of the Village of Salado. We invite all present, regardless of faith, belief, or philosophy, to join us in a spirit of unity, respect, and compassion. May our deliberations be guided by wisdom, our decisions rooted in fairness, and our actions driven by the common good. Whether you find inspiration in a higher power, the bonds of humanity, or the wonders of nature, let us work together to build a culture where every voice is heard and every individual is valued. Let's take a moment, please. Please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance and salute to the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. All right, item 1, public comments. The Board of Aldermen welcomes comments from citizens on issues and items of concern not on the agenda. Those wishing to speak must sign in before the meeting begins and observe a 5-minute time limit. When addressing the board, speakers will have one opportunity to speak during this time period. Speakers desiring to speak on an agenda item will be allowed to speak when the agenda item is called. Inquiries about matters not listed on the agenda will either be directed to staff or placed on a future agenda for Alderman consideration. We have Ms. Linda Reynolds.
Linda Reynolds, 1110 Mill Creek Drive, Salado. I wanted to thank the Chamber of Commerce and you, Mayor, for your Thursday morning coffees meetings. I've attended most of them. I know I've seen a few of our alderman candidates there, or aldermen, but not a huge turnout often. On the 22nd, I believe you're actually having another one, even though the elections are all over, which is nice. You learn a lot at those meetings. I've learned a lot. Many interesting points are brought up, and one of them was brought up by Commissioner Whitson at one coffee meeting. He mentioned something about enlarging the village. Oh, excuse me, sorry. I noticed that the law has now officially been passed about people can get out of our ETJ. And apparently one developer who was unhappy with your decision immediately took land out of the ETJ. But the interesting point that Commissioner Whitson brought up was the idea of, have you ever considered going to businesses or land on the outskirts of the village that border the village and offering them the idea? And I want to say, first of all, my immediate response was, that's not fair. But I taught 8th graders, and that's what they always said anyway. He suggested that you go to them and offer no property taxes if you come into the village. No property taxes while you own the building or the business or the land. If you sell it, then obviously it goes to taxes. If you bequeath it to a family member, that could continue to be tax-free. And I thought at first that sounded unfair. But as I began to think about the borders of this village, I realized for years the aldermen and mayors, other aldermen tried to get bloomers to come into town. Now what would happen if we offered bloomers come into the village, no property taxes? Obviously people would be upset with that, but I began to think, but Bloomers sells $100,000 trailers, and there's sales tax there. we'd be getting their sales tax we'd be getting sales tax if they come in. Then I got thinking about other parts of the edges of the village. I believe we have a sewer line and the village line up to Sonic, but that land beyond where the country gas station is, or the country barbecue place, I don't think they're in the village. What if we offered them, come into the village, no property tax, but again, we get sales tax. Then I began to think of a friend of mine who's passed away, Mrs. Ulrey. She lives out past, her ranch is out past the sanctuary land property where they're building houses. She has pretty big land out there. She raised cows out there. I think she has I was in touch with them once. She has 2 sons who maybe both live down in Georgetown or Round Rock, but they've inherited, I'm sure, that land. I don't think it's been sold. What if we invited them to bring that, I don't know how much land, I don't even know if it's still possible. What if we brought that land in, which is beyond the sanctuary housing development, and gave them property, let them keep their agriculture, let them keep the land as long as they want it, but at one point, those gentlemen might want to sell and divide it for buildings and construction or whatever, and then there would be property taxes there. I'm just thinking, it seemed like a weird idea, and this was Commissioner Whitson's idea, but I began to think, that might not be a bad way to overcome all these people leaving our ETJ. If the land abuts the village, why not think in terms of a really kind of out-of-the-box idea, which could end up helping the village a great deal in the future. Maybe when we're not here, but it would help them to have those properties within the village limits. Thank you.
Thank you. Manny, I appreciate the comments, but there's a lot of context missing from what that conversation was with Mr. Whitson, and unfortunately I can't, it's not on agenda item, so I can't really discuss it, but I just wanted to say there's a lot of context that's missing from that conversation. Ms. Turnbow, do you want to speak now, or do you want to wait until that agenda item's called? Ma'am?
It doesn't matter to me.
Well, if you'll wait until we call for the consent agenda, then we can have a discussion about it. If we do it now, we can't engage back and forth about it. So you want to wait? Okay. All right. Thank you. Anybody else? Any more public comments at this time? Nope. All right. Item 2, consent agenda. There's quite a few on here. If the board will allow, I'm going to remove item H, the acceptance of the tourism department monthly report. We found some discrepancies in there, and it's not ready, so we're gonna push that to the next meeting. If you guys are okay with it. I'm good. All right, and Mr. Del Rosa, if you want to add anything to any of this, it's just cut and dry consent agenda.
Yes, sir.
Alderman Graham, do you have any questions about?
No questions.
Alderman Hurst?
No questions.
Alderman McDonald?
No questions.
Mayor Pro Tem Bell? No. Okay. All right. Any public comments? Ms. Turnbow, you ready? Ms. Turnbow? Let's do it.
Good evening, gentlemen. My name is Bev Turnbow, and I live at 349 College Hill Drive in Salado. I would like to respond to a vote taken by the BOA on April 17th, 2025, to reduce the additional property tax exemption for homeowners over 65 from $50,000 to $7,500 annually, as well as a follow-up letter to the editor posted by Alderman McDonald explaining why he voted to reduce the local homestead exemption. In the past, I think the BOA has been quite generous with the $50,000 exemption, and we appreciate that very much. Given the current budget situation, I understand why you chose to reduce that amount. However, it would have been wise to have had public hearings before taking action to get citizen input into it. In his letter to the editor, Alderman McDonald said that the homestead exemption amount was reduced so that the property tax responsibility was shared equitably among all age groups of homeowners, since 45% of Salado homeowners, he said, are over 65, compared to 55% under 65. That is really comparing apples to oranges. Most of us over 65 have been paying property taxes for anywhere from 30 to 50 years before we even turned 65. And I think that that's why the percentage of property owners is more, because we've been paying the property taxes for so long. Personally, I've been paying property taxes for 52 years. In Texas, nearly 1/3 of all homeowners are first-time buyers, and the median age of first-time buyers is 32. In essence, then, on the average, at a minimum, homeowners over 65 will have already paid property taxes for 33 years longer than first-time buyers. How is it equitable for those who have paid 1 year or more of property taxes to those who have paid 33 years of property taxes? When we were younger, we had the same responsibility of paying more for our property taxes to share a greater tax burden for our seniors, knowing that when we got older, we too would have the opportunity to have a reduced burden. More importantly, seniors live on fixed incomes, and often, because of the death of a spouse, like me, have even less to live on than they did when their spouse was alive. Your decision does not protect our seniors, as Alderman McDonald claims. It dishonors Salado's older citizens. There are 9 other towns in Bell County that offer a local over 65 exemption, ranging from the minimum of $3,000 to Colleen's $20,000. Bartlett, Belton, and Temple offer a local over 65 exemption of $10,000. I asked the BOA to reconsider its decision based on the fact that we have been paying property taxes for many years, and many of us in the state of Texas, and many of us here in Salado, and increase the local homestead exemption to a minimum of $10,000 per household. Thank you for your kind consideration.
Thank you. Let me also shed some context on that. The exemptions that were in the Village of Salado are 3 times that of any other municipality in our area. The 65 and up exemptions does not affect people who are currently frozen at the 65 and up category. It doesn't take effect for another full calendar year. You still get the 20% reduction that other cities don't give. We give a 20% reduction. That was done back in 2008, I believe, or 2009 is when that ordinance was passed. At the time, the tax rate was 4.2 cents, and they gave an additional 20%, and then another $50,000 to the 65 and up population. If you're currently at that frozen rate, this is not going to affect you. It will not take effect until the following calendar year, 2026. So we didn't eliminate the 65 and up exemptions. We can't. It's there by state law. The only thing we did was reduce the added exemption from 50,000 to 7,500, but you still get that 20% that everybody else gets across the board. So just to add a little context there. Thank you, Ms. Turnbow. Anybody else have any public comments on anything on the consent agenda? Nope. All right, then I'll open the floor for motion.
Make a motion that we approve the consent agenda less item H as presented.
Motion made by Alderman Graham to approve the consent agenda minus item H as presented. Second. Seconded by Alderman Hurst. Any further discussion? Question? Question called by Alderman McDonald. All in favor of approving the consent agenda, say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, say no. No. Any abstentions? That's 3-1. Carries 3-1, Mr. De La Rosa. Item 3, discuss and consider possible action regarding any item removed from the consent agenda. None at this time. We're going to discuss that later. Number 4, the village administrator's report, sales tax collection update.
Okay. Mayor, for May 2025, we collected $89,887. compared to the prior year, a little, less than 3,000, and then certainly a big jump from 2023. Any questions about the sales tax collections?
Alderman Graham?
No questions.
Alderman Hurst?
No questions.
Alderman McDonald?
No questions.
Mayor Pro Tem Bell? No, sir. We're good. Thank you, Mr. De La Rosa. All right, 5, discussion and possible action on A, administer the oath of office to Alderman-elect Neil J. Dunch. I'm going to hide these cords. You can bring your family up. All right, how are you? Good, good, yeah. All right, here we go. Village of Salado, oath of office for Mr. Neil Dunch. In the name and by the authority of the state of Texas. Just repeat after me. I, state your name.
I, Neil Dunn,
Do solemnly swear or affirm.
do solemnly swear or affirm
Raise your right hand. That I will faithfully execute the duties of office of Alderman of the Village of Salado.
I will faithfully execute the duties of the office of the Village of Salado
Of the state of Texas.
of the state of Texas,
And will to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability,
Preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States.
preserve, protect, and defend the laws of the Constitution of the
Constitution
Constitution of the United States
and of this state.
and of this state.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you. You get a picture, doing now or after? Okay. We'll sign those. We'll get a picture after, with everybody else once we're done, yeah. All right, perfect. Yeah, we're good. Thank you. Or as soon as we get these guys up off here, we'll get, yeah, that's fine. All right, Mr. Lassiter. How are you? Time to get to work. Good. Thank you. Alderman. Ready? All right. All right, raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Jim Lassiter,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear and affirm
that I will faithfully execute the duties of the village of the office of Alderman of the Village of Salado.
I will faithfully
Execute the duties of the state of Texas. And will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States and of this state. So help me God. Okay. Congratulations. All right.
I like taking pictures. You need to go up there right now. Pick one of these guys and kept on the lead. Rodney or Casey, which one? I got told the family last time. I didn't know either.
Mr. Sandor.
Yes, sir.
Let your folks come over to sit if you're ready. All right. All right. Raise your right hand, repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly swear or affirm that I will faithfully execute the duties for the office of Alderman of the Village of Salado of the state of Texas.
Of the office of Alderman for the Village of Salado of the state of Texas.
And will to the best of my ability
And to the best of my ability,
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution and laws of the United States and of this state. Constitution and the laws of the United States and of this state. So help me God. So help me God. Congratulations.
Thank you for what you've done.
Neil and where'd I go? Oh. And Jim.
Don't leave it. Don't leave it. You still got the resolution.
Okay, what are we doing, Gina? Okay.
Thank you for your service. I mean, look forward to reaching out to you. Yep.
Where are we looking? To you? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Alderman?
No, good. Addressing the finance.
Rodney. Like this whole new board or?
Yeah, new board.
Oh,
New.
okay, sorry.
Like, I'm good.
Just get these three. Get the three of them.
You can look for this. Well, we don't know that we're gonna say yet.
Neil.
Three DVDs. Do we hold them? Or do you want to put them in the corner or something? They're next to McDonald. Or, oh. Nope, it doesn't. No.
Simply put, for yourself, just get it mic'd up somehow. When you see green light, you're on. That means that it's you.
Okay, items D and E, we're going to combine those. Consider approval of resolution number 2025-05 and 06, a resolution of the Board of Aldermen of the Village of Salado, Texas, recognizing the public service rendered by Alderman Jason Graham as Alderman of the Village of Salado, Texas, and Rodney Bell as Alderman and as Mayor Pro Tem of the Village of Salado, Texas. No, any questions about any of this, guys?
No, Mayor.
D, Alderman Sandor. I'm not sure what you said. We're going to do a resolution. No question. Okay. Skip down. Alderman McDonald, you have any questions?
No questions, Mayor.
Alderman Dunch?
No questions.
Alderman Hurst, you have any questions about this? No questions. Resolution? And Alderman Lassiter? Okay. Any public comments? Nope. Further discussion? I need a motion, guys.
Yeah, I make a motion to approve as written, Mayor.
Motion made by Alderman McDonald to approve as presented.
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Hurst. Any further discussion?
Question.
Question called by Alderman McDonald. All in favor of approving resolutions 2025-05 and 06, specify by saying yes.
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 Any opposed, say no. Any abstentions? Well, that carries 5-0. We haven't said that in a while. All right. Bell. Resolution number 2025-05, resolution of the Board of Aldermen of the Village of Salado, recognizing the public service rendered by Rodney Bell as Alderman and Mayor pro tempore of the Village of Salado, Texas. Whereas Rodney Bell, having been elected by the citizens of Salado, assumed the office of Alderman of the Village of Salado and served from May 2019 to May 2021 as Alderman, and May 21 to May 2025 as Mayor pro tem. And his career as Alderman and his wholehearted participation in many related functions have earned him the respect of the Village of Salado, and he has served faithfully as a member of the Board of Aldermen and has played a vital role in the important work of this body. And his years of service have been marked by exemplary dedication to the best interests of the community, and his performance of the duties and responsibilities of a member of the Board of Aldermen have been characterized by excellent and constructive contributions to municipal government in our village. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Aldermen of the Village of Salado, Texas, acting for and on behalf of the citizens of Salado, that we hereby express our sincere appreciation and thanks to Rodney Bell for his distinguished service to the community, and highly commend him for the manner in which he has carried out his duties and responsibilities, and be it further resolved that the Board of Aldermen extends him his best wishes as he leaves the board, adopted unanimously this 15th day of May 2025. Bert Henry, Mayor.
Real quick, congratulations, Alan, Jim, Phil, condolences. I'll part you with this. You guys have got one mind, you got one conscience. Don't let anybody tell you how to vote and what to vote. Make decisions on your own and follow through with it. And you'll be just fine. I'm glad you guys are on there. I'm glad you have a 5-0 council now. And best wishes to y'all. Really. Great job. First, thank you for your leadership. I want to thank Van Coggin, who was here. He had his leadership and had to work that hard. Every job on this council is not easy. So I want to express my thanks to those who serve. I just want to express my love for each of you. I want to thank my wife. Thank you for your friendship and things out on the shelf. And love you all. Don't make me come back.
Mr. Graham. Resolution number 2002-5-06 of the Board of Aldermen of the Village of Salado, recognizing the public service rendered by D. Jason Graham as Alderman of the Village of Salado, Texas. Jason Graham, having been elected by the citizens of Salado, assumed the office of Alderman in the Village of Salado and served from May 2021 to May 2025 as Alderman. And his career as Alderman and his wholehearted participation in many related functions have earned him the respect of the Village of Salado. He has served faithfully as a member of the Board of Aldermen and has played a vital role in the important work of this body. His years of service have been marked by exemplary dedication to the best interests of the community, and his performance of the duties and responsibilities of a member of the Board of Aldermen have been characterized by excellent and constructive contributions to municipal government in our village. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Aldermen of the Village of Salado, Texas, acting for and on behalf of the citizens of Salado, excuse me, that we hereby express our sincere appreciation and thanks to D. Jason Graham for his distinguished service to the community, and highly commend him for the manner in which he has carried out his duties and responsibilities. And be it further resolved that the Board of Aldermen extends him best wishes as he leaves the board, adopted unanimously this 15th day of May 2025. Bert Henry, Mayor, Village of Salado, Texas.
Yeah, I told my wife, I said that there were a lot of things I was thinking about saying, but I figured that if I'm thinking too hard about them, chances are that's probably a good reason not to say them. But I will say a few things. And I'll do it kind of in the order that Rodney did. Thank you, Rodney, for kind of setting that. The only thing I'd say to you guys is you don't have to agree, but you owe it to this community to be civil. We're all in the same boat. You don't have to row it exactly the same way, but by God, let's get a paddle and get in the same boat and row for a better way. Because when we're doing something other than that, nobody wins. So, thank you all for doing what a lot of people either not willing or unable to do, which is serve on this board. You'll find it challenging, you'll find it rewarding, but most of all, just know that you're doing a big thing that's bigger than yourself, and that's always something worthwhile. So thank you. Thank you. Bert, I thank you so much for your leadership. The time you have been mayor has been a joy, and I know it hasn't been easy. I'll just say, haters have noise. You're doing what you're doing. I'm proud of you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Bet. That's all you guys have to do. Thank you for your friendship, your mentorship, and just working together. Thank you. Thank you. Manny, there are a few things there's a lot of things I'm proud of, but one of the things I'm most proud of is when it came time for us to look for a new village administrator and to go through that process. I got the opportunity to take point on that. And I truly believe that God put you here for this purpose in this time. And thank you so much for doing it. Y'all don't realize these work far more than we pay. I promise you. And the capacity that we have built here with the team, powering down things and delegating and just building a team on a shoestring budget has been nothing short of phenomenal. Thank you.
Thank you.
Always have my heartfelt, sincere gratitude and thanks for what you've done. And, I know it's a team that I'm always going to be proud to say that we got to sign that contract together. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Staff, thank you. It's very thankless what you do, but very necessary. I appreciate it. For those of you who attended regularly, all those familiar faces, thank you for being here. Thanks for having a voice. Thank you for saying what you thought. And whether it was something that was popular in the village, or whether it was something somebody wanted to hear or not, everybody's got a voice. And everybody's got an opinion, and they're all worth listening to. So thank you for being involved in this time and being here. I did 30 years in the Army, and you sacrificed a lot. And I know you didn't want me to learn this everything. And I understand. I thank you for hanging in there with me on it. I know it's been hard. I've heard a lot of things said by people that don't know what you're talking about. But, when they go low, we go high. Right? And yeah, I'm using the shoulder of the bond. But it's appropriate. It's appropriate. And always, at the end of the day, all you have left is your dignity and your integrity. You try not to compromise you. Sarah, thank you for reminding me of that. All right. Let's get down to get somewhere else now.
Yes, sir.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Rodney, Jason, appreciate y'all. Have fun.
See you on YouTube.
All right. Let's get to work. If the board will allow it, in the interest of time, I know we have the chamber awards banquet tonight. I want to consolidate some of this agenda. Some of these things we can push back to future meetings, things that are not time sensitive at this time. Item F, unless y'all want to do that tonight, we can push that back. Item G, you can also push that back. J, L, and M. The rest of these are items that we need to discuss and potentially take some action on. Alderman Sandor, do you have any concerns about that, or are you okay with removing those items, pushing them?
I have no concerns.
Alderman Lassiter? No. Alderman Hurst?
No.
Alderman McDonald?
No.
Alderman Dunch?
No.
Okay. All right, then we're going to move forward. Item H is discussion and possible action to approve resolution number 2025 TAC 07, a resolution approving the 2025 Hazard Mitigation Action Plan update. This is just a technicality, right? That's the rest of it is something that we do every 5
You do it every 5 years.
Yeah, okay.
So this is a countywide initiative. The hazard mitigation plan is Bell County taking the lead. There, so if you saw your agenda item, you saw that there was a link. There's 815 pages to that document, but there's only about 15 of them that apply to Salado. Those were some of the, this was already, had already started when I started a year and a half ago. So the plan takes about a year to put together or to update. I identified some of the areas where low crossings in town. Those areas were identified in that hazard mitigation plan. So it's under the public works section. Should we ever get grants or funding available for improvement to our bridges, these crossovers, these low water crossings, and not having, and maybe get culverts installed so we can build bridges over these areas, we won't have residents trapped in their neighborhoods, unable to leave until the water recedes. So again, this was in partnership with our city engineers. I took the work that had already started by my predecessor. We updated some of the funding numbers for these, but depending how far out it is, it does not take into consideration inflation or any other factors like that. So generally to get a grant, it's 80% of the funding organization, usually the federal government or the state, and 20% yours. So let me just throw one out at you. We were awarded the West Village Road at $5.5 million. Okay, those numbers were provided in 2020. We were awarded just this year. The new construction costs are slightly less than $10 million. Engineering is about 1.3. You don't have enough money. Okay, so when we start having these discussions in the near future about capital improvements, we're going to have to discuss the fiscal year of those improvements, the design, the construction costs, and when these things let out. So bear that in mind. So when you look at these 15 pages that involve Salado, it gets updated every 5 years. There's no limit. You just kind of throw everything in there. To use the word, it's just nothing more than a wish list or a descriptor. Okay. But again, if you have any questions, again, at any time, you can always put one of these items back on the agenda to go back to a discussion. They are asking for a resolution to approve it. In other words, every community in the county submits it to the county, and then it gets forwarded to whatever organization gets it. So, any questions on it?
Alderman Sandor?
Yes, who is they in that context, right there at the end of what you were talking about?
The Bell County, this will be forwarded. So Bell County contracts with a consulting company that actually gathers all of the information. So they answer to the Bell County Commissioner's Court. So that's who is driving this initiative. It's a method for the county to be able to seek funding for various projects countywide. Larger cities, I mean, Temple's part of this. Some larger cities and other counties don't. They do their own submission to the state. So they hire their own grant writers. They submit their own funding requests, we're too small for that, so therefore we go to the county.
Thank you. All right, Alderman Lassiter.
Are there any significant changes that affect Salado relative to prior years' agreement/document?
No, sir, it's pretty straightforward. You've had the same needs for what I could tell the last two submissions, 5 years from prior. All we did was kind of revisit what those costs would look like and added a few. I think there was only 8, and I added a few others, and those were recommendations from Solomon Thomas with MRB Group, our project manager with our engineering firm.
But no other material items that were
No,
changed
sir.
in that for this coming year?
No,
Okay.
yeah.
No further questions.
Okay. Alderman Hurst.
No question.
Alderman Deutsch.
I guess one question is, when you mentioned the increase in cost, right, that goes, is there opportunity, and this may be not the brightest question, but is there an opportunity to change scope to get it within, to change the actual grant of what it covers? At least you get part of it.
Yeah, you can always go out for your own grants, right? There are like the Texas Water Development Board, you can work on some drainage projects, and there's other opportunities, other granting opportunities that you'll be able to apply for without having to go through this. This is just the county trying to get an idea of what everybody's needs are within the county's geographical boundaries.
Another question. All right, Alderman McDonald.
Yes, Ms. Delarosa, so functionally, this is, in simple terms, a co-op kind of an agreement. Smaller communities come together through the county to create a bigger grab when it's necessary, when we need to address the FEMA type stuff. Is that correct?
Well, no, you're competing against the other cities.
We're competing against other cities within our village, or within,
within the
or
county,
the
yes.
county itself. Okay.
Sometimes there are opportunities that Bell County will qualify for something that Williamson or some other county will not. Okay, based on the creeks, based on the number of times you flood, those kind of events.
Thank you. No further questions, Mayor.
All right, any public comments on this?
Jesse Hinnage, the Central Texas Council of Governments. This is actually a 4-county project that we've been working on. I'm the awardee for the Hazard Mitigation Action Plan. Bell County is one of those 4 counties. If you need any assistance with that moving forward, I can help write a grant or provide you with information on the funding sources that will be available. It's just basically for hazard mitigation projects to help you prevent any type of flooding or fires or anything within the community. So if you need any help with that moving forward, I think that's good.
Perfect, thank you. Anybody else? Okay, if there are no more public comments, then I will entertain a motion.
Mayor, make a motion to approve item H for 2025 Tax 7, a resolution approving the 2025 Hazard Mitigation Action Plan update as written.
Motion made by Alderman McDonald to approve resolution number 2025 Tax 07 as presented. Second by Alderman Hurst. Any further discussion?
Question.
Question called by Alderman McDonald. All in favor of approving resolution number 2025 Tax 07 as presented, say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, say no. Any abstentions? That carries 5-0. That's gonna take some getting used to. That 5 as opposed to 4.
I know, not
Item I, discussion of possible action to approve resolution number 2025 Tax 08. A resolution to authorize the creation of the Central Texas Regional 911 Emergency Communications District. Are you presenting this or Mr. Hennig?
I'm going to let Jenny Hinnage. I mean, I wish I would have known he did the hazmat. So,
Come on up,
yeah, he can speak on this.
So I won't take too much of your time. I know you have a busy schedule. What we are trying to do, the Public Safety Department within the Central Texas Council of Governments, we oversee the 911 program. Within our 7-county region, we have 13 public safety answering points, which is your dispatcher 911 call centers. We have 1 within Bell County, being Bell County Communications Center. The way that this is funded right now, we fall under the state program, which is the Commission on State Emergency Communications. So within that state program, the community, citizens within our 7-county region, if you have a wired telephone line, you look at your bill, you have a 50-cent service fee. If you have any device that's connected to a network, each device also pays that 50-cent service fee. That money then goes to the state comptroller's office and then is allocated to our region based off what our revenues are of population. So roughly every 2 years, we look at this plan and we see if it would benefit our 7-county region to leave the state program, depending on how much money we would receive in revenues, plus any additional funds that CSEC might provide us. And as it stands now, working with Jim Reed, our executive director, and then the planning and regional services director, Ryan Nelson, and my staff as well, we feel like right now is a good time to leave the state program to where we can sustain ourselves based off of that revenue. In short, there will be no change to the operations of the 911 system. Citizens will still call 911, they'll get their call answered, and then first responders will be dispatched accordingly. So there'll be no change financially, no change to operations. One of the perks to this is probably within 5 to 10 years. Right now, under the state program, we can only provide support for call taking equipment. So call made by citizens to call answered by Bell County Communications. We pay for all of that equipment, make sure the telecoms are working, everything is operational. We cannot do anything dispatch-wise or anything above and beyond call taking. Once we go to a district, if it's approved, then we will have the ability to further those projects, moving a little bit into the dispatch side. There's a lot that goes with that, but at first we need to be able to establish kind of a reserve in funding. So if a tornado were to come through and hit Bell County Communications, we have enough in our reserve that we can go and replace all that equipment and make sure that 911 services are restored. So that'll be down the road. Other than that, there's really no change to your 911 operations as it exists now. Any questions?
How is this district funded?
Through that 50-cent fee from any connected device.
It's not an additional fee, this is a
No
fee that
additional
they already
fees
pay.
to anyone at all. No.
Okay. All right, Alderman Sandor. I hear a lot of pros. Are there any cons at all to this?
The only, I wouldn't call it a con, but as we stand in the state system now, for my example of the tornado comes through, and we don't have the money. We only get what we're allocated, and a lot of that funding goes towards daily operations. Tornado were to come through and wipe out Bell County Communications, we could call on CSEC to say, hey, we just lost our largest PSAP in our region. And they would, more than likely without question, support us financially anyway. Once we go a district, we're essentially on our own. We have to rely on that our revenues that we generate from that 50-cent service fee. That doesn't mean that they wouldn't support us. It just means that we would have to go through and ask a little more politely for a little bit of assistance. But that is the only thing that would be in question. Other than that, our staff, our public safety team at SITCOG, we've been doing this for years. I've been there for 8 years. This has existed years before I started there, so it would really be seamless as to any change, and we don't foresee any issues.
Thank you. Okay, Alderman Lassiter.
Forecasting forward with demographics increasing here in terms of population, is there an anticipated surplus at some point, or are you going to continue to match costs with the revenue?
We project, whenever we do our budget, we project it out several years, and I would assume we're seeing the same numbers you are. I mean, we're paying attention to the planning side of our department. We look at their projections and some of their plans as far as population growth, so we're not really forecasting anything different than what you're probably seeing. So just growth within the central Texas region, I-35 corridor.
If there was a deficit, unexpected deficit, what would happen?
I can't answer that. I don't know for sure. I think that I don't want to speak out of place, but I know that SITCOG has its own reserve from different funding sources there, and I think that our executive director would probably do the best that we could to ensure that we stayed operational, and we would stay operational. But as far as what would take place if there were a deficit, I can't answer that. But through our forecasts and looking at this every couple of years, like I previously mentioned, we don't see, with the population growth that we're expecting in this area, and just what we have now, it would have to be fairly significant of a population decrease for us to be in a situation that we couldn't fund.
Did I hear you say that you would have a sinking fund established for rainy day fund for, did I hear you say that, or did I miss that?
Well, I don't want to speak out of turn. That would be a question for Jim Reed that I would need to get back to you on, or if you're.
I was just wondering if you had a surplus, would you move that into?
There is no
reserve
fund for that, but as I said, we will have the freedom to expand on projects that we currently have permission to do, but we would not take on any additional projects, just basic operations until we could build that revenue. So we do have additional funding at the end of our biennium for our cycle now, our budget cycle now. So we will be building on that as we do now.
Okay, so that's not.
But there is no established fund right now. It is something that we would leave CSEC with, but need to continue to build on.
Thank you. No further questions.
All right, Alderman Hurst?
No, you answered my question. All right, thank you.
Alderman Dutch?
Correct. We would leave with somewhat of a reserve. We're still, Jim Reed is still working with CSEC to establish what that dollar amount looks like, and we are trying to position ourselves and negotiate to where we leave the state program with as much funding as we can. We don't leave any money on the table. What that figure is right now, I'm not sure. There's a lot of factors that go into that, and Jim is still working on it. We will leave with a substantial amount of money. We're just not sure what that is.
All right, Alderman McDonald?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor. Based on the conversations and the questions you've heard up here so far, in other words, to you, when is the drop dead date of us signing this if we're going to join this program?
So the way the process works, and the reason you're seeing this resolution before you today, the process is that we have to get approval from all 32 cities and 7 counties within our 7-county region. And then we will hold Bell County for the last resolution to pass. So we're doing all the resolutions throughout the region right now. And then August 31st is our tentative deadline, because that is the end of the fiscal year for CSEC. So we want to leave at the end of August, and then whether Bell County decides to have a special meeting or one of their commissioners' courts, they will be the deciding factor. Once everyone else has approved their resolutions, once Bell County approves, we will officially be a district at that time. So August 31st is the date that we are shooting for. We don't foresee any issues with that date right now, but it is subject to change. Pushing it through right maybe a couple of months.
All righty. Well, thank you for answering my questions, sir. I have no further questions at this time.
Mayor, if I may,
Yes, sir.
can you tell me how many 911 districts are in the state?
Have it I provided just the informational packet for you. And I believe that is.
Yeah, we don't have.
191 of 254 counties. Is that right, Jesse?
Well, that's not how many are districts.
No, that's probably the number of
CSEC
PSAPs.
serves that amount of counties, but that's not how many districts are in the state. So if you look on the second to last page in the packet, 27.
that's a lot of counties in one district. They're usually not that large,
We're usually not that.
that many counties in a single district. So, I mean,
Some whenever jurisdictions decide to go district, some of them stay with the COG, others are just a county district, so
yeah,
that's
just
why.
the majority, because I spent 7 years in the Woodlands. Montgomery County only has Montgomery County.
Correct.
Spent 7 years down south, and Montgomery County only has one county. I'm concerned that this is a lot of counties. So the relationship generally is, and not seeing your bylaws yet, is, but at least my 14 years with 2 different 911 districts, they come to the city, they get the city buy-in on your budget, where you're moving forward, and not having seen any of that yet always raises a flag for me. So I don't know what the composition of the board is going to be. So those cities usually have the 911, like ESC, city managers from large cities, representatives for others, but you know, this came in probably about 2 months ago, and I still haven't seen any information on it other than, I mean, you walked in with this. So that was the only, so I just want to raise that concern with you, but I think that you have to get buy-in from everyone. Is that not true?
All 32 cities,
All 30.
plus 7 counties. Yes.
Yeah.
And Jim Reed has been discussing this probably for the last 6 months at executive committee, the SICOG executive committee, and he has provided information, and I can provide you with the presentation that he provided that has the makeup of what will be called the Board of Managers. So once we leave CSEC, we're no longer reporting to the state. That will be comprised of the Board of Managers, which will be more of a local, regional group of folks that will determine the budget. And I believe that either May Executive Committee, which May 22nd is the next meeting, he may discuss the bylaws again and the board makeup, who will be represented on there. If not, we will be discussing the budget at the June meeting. So again, I can provide you with that presentation, or if you'd like to attend the May 22nd meeting, we're going to be presenting 6 resolutions to further our efforts in becoming district.
Okay, well,
I'll be at the meeting on the 22nd.
Yeah, but it's
I'm
not
on the executive committee for SICOG, so I'll be there, and I'll bring back that presentation, distribute it to the board, or give it to you to distribute.
yeah, I just haven't seen a deadline as to when it's got to take effect. So I mean, my recommendation is that you table it until you get additional information, or that PowerPoint goes out to everybody.
Yeah.
It just, will you have a vote in, you know, how is that budget going to be approved? You know, more Alderman Lassiter's, you know, what do you have and how are you going to run it dry? So
And those are the
I
things
think Bell County is going to be the largest population out of the 7 counties that I'm looking at. So do we get more representation or not, right?
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Okay. Any public comments on this item? Nope. All right. Yes, ma'am. That's through Code Red, which we recently, they've set up, that's also through the COG. And Ms. Pence worked on, we probably need to distribute more information. We've set it up before. It's been around for years. I subscribed to it years ago before I decided to jump into this arena. But we have it set up now specifically for Salado. And myself, I believe, Mr. De La Rosa, Ms. Pence, and Chief Fields can go in there and key in whatever the alert is. And we can even make it specific to certain neighborhoods if we need to. We can drill it down that close to see if it's an issue with the bridge being closed going over into Mill Creek. We can send that out to people who are affected on that side of the creek over there. So it's something that, is that right, Ms. Pence? We can drill it down that small of an area. So that's how those notifications are made, is through Code Red, through SITCOG. And if we need to send you some information, Ms. Sands, we can.
It really helps because we can get people out of their homes.
Right.
And that was very helpful.
Yeah.
And I manage that program as well.
Right.
We are going to be launching to a 2.0 platform. They've improve their platform. So June 2nd, we'll be moving over to a newer program. And again, I can help with that. Okay. Help you with that.
Perfect. All right. Thank you. Any more comments? Nope. All right, Mr. Hennage, we appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
All right, if there are no more public comments, then I will open the floor for a motion.
Mayor, I make a motion that we table this until you come back with information on the 26th of the next meeting at the executive session for you.
Okay, motion made by Alderman McDonald to table until after the SIGCOG Executive Committee, and we can get some more information on this. Seconded by Alderman Dunch. Any further discussion? Question. Question called by Alderman Hurd. Go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead. You're good.
What was the time frame to get this done?
May 22nd is when is the next executive committee meeting for SIGCOG.
Okay.
I'm on that board. I'll bring back the presentation from that, and then we'll distribute it, and then I guess we'll put it on for the
June 5th.
June 5th.
And that works in conjunction with their time frame?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
August 31st.
Yeah. Okay.
It's getting really hard to hear everything. You're talking to each other now.
I'm going to attend a meeting May 22nd at SIGCOG Executive Committee, and once they get the presentation, I'll bring it back and let Manny distribute it to the board, and then we will deliberate on June the, would you say 5th?
June 5th, yes, sir.
June 5th. All right, there was a motion? Yes. Motion made by Alderman McDonald to table, seconded by Alderman Dunch. Any further discussions? Question called by Alderman Hurst. All in favor of tabling until June the 5th, say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, say no. Any abstentions? That carries 5-0. K, discussion and possible action to approve aesthetic lighting design options for under the I-835 bridge at Williams Road, Salado Plaza Drive, on a project to be funded by the 2022 Governor's Community Achievement Awards, which is part of the Keep Texas Beautiful in partnership with the Texas Department of Transportation.
Okay, we've got a PowerPoint presentation that was really difficult to copy. We've been working with the Texas Department of Transportation on a $90,000 grant, and we've probably had it, if I recall, probably about 3 years now. You had a prior grant for a beautification project some years ago across Thomas Arnold, the overpass over I-35, the pedestrian walkway, the rail, that ironworks with the S on top of that pedestrian, guardrail. Okay, that was a cost at about $115,000. If we wanted to do the very same architecture on the other side of that same bridge, the cost would be upwards of about $150,000. So you don't have enough money for that. So we had several conversations, and Jennifer Phelps kind of took the lead for me, because met with some citizens of some part of the beautifications within town at one time to look at maybe we could make an improvement, some type of landscaping. We looked at the circle there at Salado Plaza and stuff, but the problem is, once you do a beautification project like planting, you've got to maintain it into almost perpetuity for a very long time. So we couldn't find any place that we could really have this. So we even suggested that maybe the Green Bridge, the pedestrian bridge, the Dodson Creek Bridge, that one as a possible side. But we're actually working with the Native Transit group, the Linda Griffiths group, and something else there. So we came up with the a suggestion was, as part of the Williams Road sidewalk project, could we do something at Williams Road at the underpass with lighting, make it more decorative, more festive during the holiday season? So TxDOT actually grants you the money, and then they will go through the process and design some options for you and handle some of the construction, but it's got to stay within this funding, right? It comes out of a landscape division of TxDOT. So what they provided you were 4 options and 3 combinations of the various options. So, there are wagon wheels, there are, and if you'll go slowly through each one of those slides, and you'll be able to see them on your monitor. Go to the next one. So you'll see right underneath the overpass there on the top of those columns, some design, some lines. So some of it, you see that's trying to make it a little bit where it actually brightens it up. Can we have something that would kind of give what we have here? So we actually have the stagecoach on the side of the walls of the expressway. So they came up with these wagon wheel stuff, and there's some others. So slowly go through those slides. That's not much color. Next one. Yeah, you can't zoom in, can you? Yeah, you can see them off at the far right-hand corner. There they are. See that it looks like a stagecoach. So I guess when it's lit up at night, and I think there's a drawing, a lit up one. Yeah, there it is. So, the distances makes them look very small, but I think they're actually much larger than they appear in these pictures. So, is this something you're interested? Do we need to go back? I mean, this is kind of their first shot at this. Gave us various options, trying to stay within that $90,000 bracket, right? Could you apply for something, additional funding? Maybe. But they would like for you to use it. We've already, I think I was advised we've been sitting there for 2 to 3 years already. So.
It looks like there's some nice options on there.
Yeah.
That last one with the little, whatever that squiggly line is with it, I don't know what that was, but it looks like bad graffiti. The swan mayor. What? The swan.
Yeah. So remember, once it's designed and the lights are here, so some of the issues that other cities have done is they actually request lighting fixtures that once they break, they're very hard to replace. I ask for very conventional stuff. We should be able to find it on the market based on whoever provides this information, these type of equipment. So not trying to complicate it, just trying to make it that during the holiday season we can have some type of different lighting there. But it would help create a signature for that area. May not be able to make it as part of the Williams Road because that may let out before this project gets designed and completed. So, but we're hoping that one of the local contractors that's working for the school district will still be able to get on these things and keep it going. Again, we have to stay within the 90,000, and if you go over it, then it's at the village's cost.
I have a question. May I? Yeah. Mr. De La Rosa, because this is being funded by TxDOT, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And it's $90,000 that we're not to exceed the way that it's structured currently. My question to you is, could we talk to TxDOT about using those funds instead of for this to do flashing or illuminated stop signs on the north and southbound access road right there in that same intersection on either side of that bridge? Or would that be?
No, I think that'll be the transportation department. This actually comes out of the landscaping. You'll see Hillary Garnish's transportation landscape architect. It's a GCAA. It's a the first lady of the governor's wife helps push these beautification projects. I'm not so sure that they're going to consider flashing red lights with beautification.
That is something that we discussed, me and Mr. Sandor have discussed for the past few days about the amount of, it seems like there's been an uptick in the number of vehicles that just blow through that four-way stop. I made Chief Fields and his guys aware that a few weeks ago when somebody almost T-boned me there at that intersection, and I don't know if Mr. Sandor said it almost happened to him or he knew somebody that happened to, but they're just blowing through that stop sign, and I think it's time. Unfortunately, it takes somebody to get killed sometimes before they decide to do something about it. But that's something that we can certainly enter into conversation with them about, and see if they need to do some sort of an impact study to figure out, how many of those vehicles are actually stopping and really what our exposure is there.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
It would come out of two different buckets of money, is what I'm hearing you say. This compared to the other situation, one of them's a public safety issue, the other one's more of a, I guess to your point, landscaping.
It's a beautification project, yeah. You might recall, for the newly installed Alderman, when I found the article, I actually went online to look at for the article when it was awarded, there were like 10 cities. We were under a certain size. We were awarded this amount, but I mean, this is something that is pushed through the governor's office through TechStop. So I don't mind asking, and you certainly don't have to take any action now. It's just that they are certainly wanting to get this behind them. The money, the funds have got to get spent. It's embarrassing when it doesn't, and they don't like taking it back, but it needs to get spent.
Okay.
They're the ones pushing, they say soon. They're the ones that actually call for the meeting, and they say soon. Yeah, I would say that you've got a couple of months to decide, because then it goes into design criteria. I would say that if you don't decide by the end of summer, they're going to decide for us.
Are there any other options to look at besides what we've seen here for $90,000?
You know, I wasn't really enthused with the lighting projects. I mean, I just kind of passed it on. I was thinking, you know, I've been at some other cities that have got some really different lighting options underneath where with it. I think those were all actually with some participation from cities. You know, I mean, we all go to the Waco area, we go to the San Antonio, you see some of these really beautiful underpasses and a lot of lighting.
Is there any thought given to the, I'm going to call it the triangle right there, just past the, where we have a few trees circling it, right there where you come out to go to the north on I-35, that triangle right there in front of the cleaners.
Not the circle, right?
Yeah,
The
right
circle,
there,
right?
kind of.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah. You had an irrigation system that hasn't been running for some time. We just turned off the valve. Your crepe myrtles that you had, many of them have died. If it floods in whatever's in that we put like plantings, then we're responsible for maintaining it and replacing them. And that was the concern with areas that, you know, we wouldn't be able to manage the water or have steady irrigation for them. So yes, sir, we did. That was one of the areas that we looked at.
We're not making a decision today.
That's up to you guys. You know, we can table it if we need to.
Now, I want to get this in front of you because I really need you to think on this and start getting some
I think
ideas.
even with that, like this picture that's here in the state of Texas, could you go back, Jacob, to the one, the two wagon wheels on the not that one, that. I think, and this is just my opinion, this wagon wheel here, if we took that state of Texas that's shown on the other wall and put it on these two stanchions right here, that to me is more appealing and looks better than those two wagon wheels. If we take the state of Texas and put it there instead of the wagon wheel, I think that's a much more appealing option.
Texas seal, yeah.
But the options I see, I would agree with that.
So it's I don't know, let's put it on the line, and if we want to table this, we can. Hold on. Huh? Hey, Mr. Michaels, you know the rules. You can't just yell out like that. Alderman Hurst, you have any, or Alderman Lasser, do you have any questions? Okay. Alderman Hurst?
No, I have no question. I agree with that Texas thing, though, but we need to get it done sooner or later.
Okay, Alderman Dunch? Alderman McDonald?
Just a quick question, Mr. De La Rosa. I see the white lights. There's actually 1, 2, 3, 4 from what I can see on this projection. I'm asking the question because on both sides of the road, are we anticipating that to be on both sides? In other words, like in the corridor in and of itself?
Both sides of the column here.
Right.
Yeah.
I, for one, to the board and the mayor, I like the idea of having that a lit area because it's quite dark in there, and it actually would benefit, regardless of what artwork we decide as a board to put on that wall, whether it be the Texas or the wagon wheel or whatever. I really am a big fan of all that lighting there. I believe that's a really great way of doing it, and that's where I'm at. So I'm good with wherever we decide as far as artwork is concerned, but I really like the lighting in there. That's a great safety feature.
Is that the type we can change the colors on those? We have the ability to do that?
And once it gets installed, it is yours to maintain. You're responsible for the electric bill and the lighting and anything you want to do with it. So, yes, they're LED.
But there's a remote or something that we can change?
That was
Okay.
the idea.
All right.
Remote, change lights and different colors, yes.
All right. Any public comments on this? Come on up. State your name and your address, please.
Okay, Lacey Followell at 1608 Old Mill Road. Would this be something that the village, I know in the past meetings that I've been to, we've been concerned about cooperating members of the community and having more involvement. Would this be something that we could pitch to the city for them to vote once y'all have narrowed it down, that they could be involved in making the decision for the new lighting fixtures?
That's a great point. And what we can do is we can put out some sort of a survey on either our website or Facebook or both and get public input from that. It's not our lights, it's their lights. So that's actually a great idea. Thank you. Do you have more? You have 5 minutes, so you want to say more?
Sorry, I mistaken my name a minute ago. Kathy Sands, 2901 Chisholm Trail. I was in the Keep Salado Beautiful group that received both of the grants over the last 10 years. And we have gone back and forth with TxDOT trying to do something, but we have to maintain it. So whenever we came up with an idea, they said, no, you can't do that. Or we were told, no, we can't afford that, maintenance-wise. Mm-hmm. So this is what TxDOT came up with, and this is what we, the ones of us who have worked on this for years, came up with, so we would have more lighting under the bridge for safety, and we could change the colors for different seasons at Christmas and different times, so people could see it from the highway and maybe bring people off of the highway. So that was the reasoning behind it when we met with TxDOT.
Thank you. That's good. Then we can change it to burnt orange every time Texas wins. I like that. Uh-oh, here we go.
Christy Hurst, 1207 Indian Trail. My only thought was the S's that we already have. We have it on the bridge. We have it coming in. Could we not propose something similar? More of our normal Village S as a light fixture with the light behind it?
I think so, yes.
Because I think aesthetically, I love the Texas one. I'm not a fan of the wagon wheel. Don't like the swooping rods, but I mean, since we already have the S on the bridge, we already have the S coming in. I thought that would be a nice idea.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. I think any design, they're just looking for suggestions. So I mean, those are great suggestions. You just need to let them know.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else? More public comments? No. All right. I'll open the floor for a motion for whatever you guys want to do with this.
Mayor, make a motion that we table this so that way you can pursue through the village administration to get public input based on the recommendation.
Motion made by Alderman McDonald to table pending recommendation from the community. He said needed to, but really means you, Ms. Pence. Yeah, motion made by Alderman McDonald to table pending input from citizens. Seconded by Alderman Dunch. Any further discussion?
Are we going to come up with different designs then that we're going to put out in that survey, or are we going to?
We may put this out and try to get some different designs to TxDOT, see what they can do, and then that way they'll have something to kind of choose from. I mean, you want to kind of try to keep it contained so we can get this thing on track.
Then we'll be able to have the
input,
some input, and
yes,
all
sir.
that
Yeah.
by the 5th of June. That way.
Oh no, it won't happen by the 5th of June. No,
Yeah.
look, I think that if we can get all this done in the next month, 45 days. Yeah. I mean, getting the survey out's not going to be. It's just I'm going to get TxDOT's input, and I think they can design that fairly quick. I mean, it's somebody on a CAD drawing it up and just saying it's right. So
Canva, they just move something over.
That's what it is.
I have a comment from Mr. De La Rosa. I think that we should consider, and I think you were about to touch on this a moment ago, we should consider limiting how many varieties of options we're going to put out for vote. I do this every day at work, and I usually give 2 or 3, and I find that to be effective. I know it's not always fair for everyone, but if you put out 12 or 120, we'll be doing this in 2 years from now, I think.
Yeah, no, and you'll get to know how I operate. I generally run things by you. I appreciate that you give me some type of response. Comments, like it, dislike it, be critical, whatever. But I send you emails, you only respond to me. As we limit this will expedite, you will be the first ones to see at least something before I put it out.
Okay.
So yeah, that's a great idea. I need to try to contain how much information I'm getting in from the outside. But you six, I'm hoping and I'm encouraging you that you send me your comments or concerns.
Thank you. I think a few would be a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
A few ideas for the public to choose from.
No more than 3.
Okay. And we'll probably keep it focused around, I mean, I think the consensus amongst the board is that the graffiti's out. The
Yes.
wagon wheel, but the state of Texas, it actually looked great there.
I'm talking about
We
a
can
star
somehow
or a
incorporate-
seal.
Sir?
The state of Texas, a star or a seal?
Ooh, as it was shown?
As it
And
was
so
shown
it was just the
in
state of Texas outline that had, it looked like it was a deal on
Oh,
there.
state of Texas outline. I
It
got
was
it.
State
like
of
right
Texas
there.
outline, but it had Salado somehow pinpointed on there. You can see a little bit.
What's on there? We can't tell what that is on the.
Flying
on the
saucer, man.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I get it.
That,
I like
or
that.
incorporate Salado, the S somehow into that.
Okay.
You know, two of those kind of.
That S right there?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what's on the bridge over there.
Right.
Yeah. To make sure they don't do it backwards. Okay, so there was a motion made,
I made a motion to table it till you do the work.
okay, and seconded by, okay, now any further discussion? Question?
Just a question.
Oops,
Go
go ahead.
I just want to add, while we're doing it, I like the idea from the floor of the S, and I also like the idea of the state of Texas on it. And maybe one other option, and I'm perfectly fine, lightning under the bridge, so I think it's a good place to use it, and multicolored great, so I'm like Alan over here, that I think, 2 or 3, maybe 3 or 4 at the very most options is more than enough, but I like what I see between the S and the state of Texas, because I think they represent Salado very well. That's all I'm saying.
And since it's gonna be 8 total, 1 on each side of 4 stanchions, you could do a Texas, and then a catty corner, the Salado S, and then same thing next to that. Offset each other on opposite sides of it. So I don't know why we can't incorporate both of those. But anyway, motion made by Alderman McDonald, seconded by Mr. Dunch. You good? You good. Any further discussion? Question called by Alderman Hurst. All in favor of tabling pending community input, say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, say no. Any abstentions? Carries 5-0. Mr. Del Rosa at the table, please. L, we remove.
Mayor, let me ask Ms. Pence, is L critical? Can it not wait till June 5th? If you'll entertain item L, I'm not sure why we would miss it because it's got a July date, but I don't want to miss an opportunity. So, hey, if Gina tells me I need to pay attention, I pay attention. She's
Okay.
telling me that L needs to move forward, Mayor.
Okay.
And so if your colleague, if the Alderman will entertain that, then let's take that item up.
Okay, you guys all good? Okay, all right, go ahead.
Who's going to present? Ms. Whitson? L.
Good evening, Mayor and Alderman. This is for a billboard that's on I-35. It'll be going south to Austin. It's on Avenue 6, or by Avenue 6 in Belton. And so when you're coming south, it'll be on your left side just before you get to that McDonald's. And the impressions are over 538,000 impressions. It has a great number to it. It's currently in use. And actually was told the other day after we had already done this that we can even move it up to June for the date if we would like to do that. They'd have to give us a new contract, and we had already put the agenda out. So if we'd like to do it earlier, we can do that. I can get that contract tomorrow. or we can set it for the end of, for July 28th, if you would like to do a billboard for that.
Okay.
It is $1,000 a month, and it's a year contract.
And this is hotel occupancy funds,
Yes.
correct?
Correct.
Okay. Senator, how long are we planning on doing this for?
I think we should do it for the year and see what kind of a return on investment we get on that.
For the balance of this year or for 12 months?
Oh, it would be for the 12 months.
The 12 months.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Lassiter? Alderman Hurst? Mr. Dunn?
Can we consider other digital ones? Like current festivities, there are digital ones that
Yeah, I had reached out to about 4 or 5 different billboard companies, and right now this is the only one that's available. Now, on this contract that you see, in regards to that, there will be an additional $672 that we'll pay after we sign the contract, but that'll be for the vinyl for them to create the creativity on it. For the year, yes, and then we can see what digital are available. But I got a whole list from several different ones, and we were very limited at the time right now, so we can keep an eye on that throughout. Correct.
You're not on.
I'm not on, that's
There you go. No, I would like to look at what it would cost digitally for $1,000 a month, because at peak times, getting the current Scottish Festival or
Sure.
Stroll.
Yeah, the
on
digital
there,
would
so
be
people-
ideal. Correct. I
and
think
the-
right now this just gets our name out there, and then again, as the time rolls on, we can keep us updated with any of the digitals that go through here.
Okay. Alderman McDonald?
Yes, Mayor. Hello, Ms. Whitson. I've actually, through my prior nonprofit organization, we've used Lamar in the past, so I'm familiar with this type of contract. So that $600 and some odd dollars, that is for the one-time art fee.
Yes,
Cost
it
to go
is.
up there.
Correct.
So for everybody's benefit on this, so in other words, to Alderman Dunch's point of view, that if we run this on a quarterly basis, I'm picking a number for a reason. Let's say the first 90 days we're going to talk about a set program that we know that we have cyclically here. We can start advertising that and getting that out there. The second quarter, it will cost us another $672 based on this current conversation to do the same thing for the next quarter, next quarter.
Sure.
In addition to that, you can also, with your contact at Lamar, find out, because they also do have digital as well, and they're premium, by the way. When you do that, we may find out that going this route that we're currently in, board, might be actually a more cost-effective method, even if we're going to pay to have that $672 each time we decide to change something. I just want to say that out loud, okay? So that, I understand what you're doing, I get it, and so I just want to say that out loud for your benefit as well, and I just want to get clarity on what we're doing here.
Sure.
So thank you, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
No further questions.
I've got a comment. In line with Alderman Dunch, I think maybe where you were heading with that idea, perhaps, is that if we had a shorter contract as an option, then we could maybe hear from Lamar about when something opens, like a digital sign.
Sure.
Is that an option? Or
I
is
can
it-
ask. I did not ask that, but I can definitely ask. This one was a year contract.
Mhm.
This will be, we can definitely see what their other options are, and I can ask her that tomorrow.
Yeah, and I also know that, in line with Alderman McDonald, we have used them in our businesses before, and the digital ones are more expensive. You have to weigh out what the ROI is, I think, on what you're doing, just like any other piece of business.
Right.
With all due respect.
But I might just add a comment. The digital one, from what I've seen with those contracts, you pay for your time. They can be rotating, so other ads can come in before and after you, but the key thing is we're really promoting the events during the time. My gut tells me there's a reason why this one's available, and it's just one sign for the whole year. Most people and companies are finding, I'd just like to see the data analytics, so what's the best marketing for the bang for the buck on promoting. The key thing is for us to promote certain events throughout the year. And then it isn't a heavy lift on the art design because
Right.
you're constantly changing. And that's just digital.
With the digital, for everybody's benefit, as you stated simply, but it's a 3 to 5 second grab up there. So now out of a minute long period of time, you're looking at about a 0.5 second transition to the next, in other words, image of whoever's advertising. You're going to get anywhere between 3 to 5. You're going to pay for that difference between 3 seconds and 5 seconds, by the way. And it's not constant. So I'm making a generalized statement. If you're going to brand a community based on organizational events, I do agree with we probably need to know what the better visibility is from quote unquote the traveling highway, what this sign looks like. But in the core of it all, board, for your benefit to know, the difference between the digital and the non-digital, which is what we're currently looking at, is that the non-digital is a constant picture of the community in your face, okay, to be fair. In other words, you're going to see it every day, you're going to drive it every day. You either get anesthetized because you're tired of looking at it, or you're going to see it for the first time, and you're going to be like, oh, I want to go there to do that. Or, hey, this is where the Scottish games are at. That's kind of how that works, okay? So it's more of a psychological game when you're working with your buying public, but at the core of it all, I would say that at a minimum, digital is nice, but it's got its own industries that it's serving specifically that are okay with quick grabs. I'll give you great examples. Pepsi, Coca-Cola, you're already familiar with these products, and they purposely advertise on those just to keep reminding you how cool they are, right? Or how much they're in wars with each other. But when you start talking about putting out long-term information that's supposed to be cyclic at our point of view, I would lean more towards, at this point, I agree with the billboard anything idea at this point, but I agree more with a static display versus a transitional display that we can manipulate as we see fit based on our expenditures that we can use from Hot Tank. So thank you. I have nothing else, Mayor. Thank you.
Yeah, and to clarify that too, whenever you reach out to a to a billboard company, if they have any available between the two, they always give you those options as well too.
We said they weren't available. There's not one available in Belton? Or is not one available
That
within
is
a 50-mile radius?
the best location. The best location for the area as far as the number of impressions. The first one that would have been ideal is not available. This is the next one that's available with over the 532,000 impressions, and that is why I picked that one for the availability. And the location is good. Just a quick reminder that your town is here, and Mr. De La Rosa and Gina had said that they wanted it to be kind of closer in the vicinity, nothing outside of the 50-mile radius. So we did it here within the town, close by. So
that's fine. Okay.
The difference between the digital and non-digital, I'd just like to comment on real quick. Michael, I prefer the constant versus rotating personally, but I do like the idea of and I've seen it many times where they've taken a standard display, one display, and then they take a triangle on the corner of that display, and during that year put a banner, if you will, Arena Fest or Fin Fest or whatever it is, a Scottish clan where you can just come in, you still have your Salado prevalent on the billboard. It stays all year, but you can use maybe that corner coming down in red, Arena Fest, September 9 through such and such, and still get different events without having to share time and space with other people. So I have seen that. You've seen that.
I have seen that.
Where you still can change on events up there 3 or 4 times, 5 times a year, just by overlapping the new vinyl with the latest event.
You could also
still have the Salado impression first and foremost, which I prefer that personally, but I'm not an advertising expert.
You could also keep your Visit Salado logo where it's always constant, and then you're changing
Correct.
what the events are as well too, so it stays, and their image is constantly a reminder. As we all know, that's why the marketing works so well for the Pepsi and the Coca-Cola and the Dr. Pepper, and so that would be a great way to keep that constant Visit Salado, and then change those dates if you wanted to do it in half like that as well. And I could ask them what that cost is. I don't know if that's half the amount of the $672, or I don't know if that is the full amount, but certainly we can ask, yeah.
Wouldn't imagine it'd be a full, I mean, you're only talking about
Correct.
a little corner, I mean,
Sure.
literally a corner of that billboard.
Sure.
Which is actually a great idea. Can
I think
you
that's a
look into
great
that?
idea. Yeah, we can definitely check that.
Okay.
Big enough to see.
Yeah.
I think Mary Hardin Baylor does that if you're coming.
I think
coming
so.
north from
Yeah, I think you're
Georgetown,
right.
You see that.
Mm-hmm.
They do change your billboards
Yep.
several times during the year, but sometimes they have that, what they
Line.
call banner here. It's maybe just red with white lettering.
Yep.
And put the Scottish Clan, Scottish Gathering.
I think that's a great idea. Yeah, and that'll keep the image, your name, as well as changing that image, just to keep that constant reminder too. So I think that's great. Mm-hmm. I think that is too. That's great.
But also, I'd like to revisit and have that conversation to see
What the
if we could-
cost
If we
is.
could say
Yeah.
that, but also if we do a 6-month contract versus a 1 year.
So
and
just
then
so
in 6
you're,
months if something opens up.
yeah, so just, and I can ask that, just so that we're clear though, they hold those billboards for 7 days because of the Alderman meeting. They held it an extra 7 days for us, and I do have to notify them tomorrow if we want to move forward with it, which would mean you would still have to sign a contract. We can ask about the 6 months. I don't know what that means on price, or if you guys are comfortable with signing it according to that, but I can get that information tomorrow. But I have to let them know, or else that hold opens, and then it'll be available to somebody else for July.
Okay. That's that's an easy solution to that. If she goes and they gets an answer tomorrow and says, yeah, we can do the 6 months, but we have to sign this contract in the next 7 days. You can send an email out to the board soliciting input, and then we'll ratify it at the next meeting.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Would you be able to sign the contract so I could get that to them? Because they're going to
You
ask
guys
for it in
respond to
hand.
the email
Okay.
and say we're going to do it.
Okay,
and I'll
perfect.
sign it, and it's
Okay.
done. Or he signs it, and it's done.
Okay, that
And then-
sounds
And then
great.
the following meeting, we'll ratify it.
Okay, that sounds good, and I'll call in the morning and get that.
Okay. So is that what we're doing? We're not taking any action on this?
No, I would conditionally approve this, but don't approve this because the terms are gonna change.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
we either go with this if that other doesn't work out. If the other option works out, then this just goes away and we'll ratify the next move, right?
Okay.
The next option. But if you don't take action on this, you've not taken action.
Right.
Right, so conditionally approve it, subject to whatever's negotiated, and then I'll get back to you. So, everybody's got emails, we've got emails temporary for everybody. If not, I will be calling you if you don't respond to an email, but I'll need to know soon.
Okay.
Okay.
All right,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay.
Any public comments?
Thank you, Deanna.
Yep, thank y'all.
That's the second best one over there, huh?
Yes.
Thank you.
No, any public comments? Name and address, please.
Brandy Sandor, 501 Van Bibber. How much money is in the hotel occupancy tax thing?
I don't have those numbers in front of me, but the
Is
good
that-
thing about hotel occupancy tax is not come out of the general fund. It's not.
Well, I'm just wanting to know how much is in that fund, and does it have to be spent in a fiscal year, or like how does that work? Because I mean, if there's, I'm saying $50,000 in it, and the billboard's only going to cost, what was it?
13,000.
13,000. I don't know why we wouldn't want to just sign that contract, because we need to get some advertising going for the businesses here in town. I just texted my friend Taylor, who works for Lamar, the digital billboard. It runs for 30 seconds. You're one of 6 businesses that goes on every minute. So they have 15 digital boards between all of Bell County. So she said, Yeah. Yeah, I've told her, sorry. So, I just think we should decide quickly, especially if they're gonna say,
We're about to decide here in a minute.
okay, just
Yeah.
wanted to know who's gonna pay for all of it.
So with the hotel occupancy tax fund, as we've talked about it, and a lot of people just don't understand it. It doesn't come out of our general fund. It's money that's collected from people who stay at the hotels, and there's only certain things that we can spend it on, and this meets that criteria. So it's not, and there's a lot more than $50,000 sitting there.
Well, how long is it, like, how much is there and how long has it been sitting at whatever that amount is, and it's not being spent and used to generate people coming to town is what I'm trying to figure out too. Because I feel like there's been a lot of money in that fund for a while, and it's just been sitting there.
There's, Manny, you want to speak to that?
It's not that item, so
Yeah.
we can't go into detail, but you do have 350,000. That would be a discussion we can have during the financials when it comes up.
Which that'll be the next meeting, because
Yes,
we're going to table, we're not going to take
Yeah,
action on that
so
tonight.
the question is, how much money do you have right now? 350,000. So,
How long has it been sitting at 350,000?
well, I think the answer is that the hotel funds can only be spent in accordance with the Hotel Occupancy Tax Act. So in other words, it can't just be used for anything. It
No,
is
I understand
Yeah, no,
that.
but it is very specific. So I can tell you that the first city council, when I first started here, wanted the instructions from Mayor Coggin at the time, you might recall, was to save enough funds to create a parking lot in the downtown area. Well, parking lots are several $1 million. So there's no such thing as saving. They're reserves for a capital improvement project, and we just haven't identified one. But it can only be used that creates either the convention and visitor centers or the hotel industry. And marketing is very, very limited. So if you get outside of those parameters, you will get audited by the state controller's office, and then you have to pay back the funds to that account. So, I mean, it is. So now that we have one of the first things that we're going to be doing here in the near future, is you're going to have a strategic goal meeting to give new direction and set new goals, right? So, Mayor, you've only been here a year. Those instructions have not changed, but we've been kind of building what are we going to do, and whether we were, you might recall, we were looking at the visitor center at the Stagecoach Inn at one time. That didn't pan out. So there are certain things that we're going to have to discuss and get some goals and long-term plans for how we spend those funds. That's the only answer I have. I mean, there's no plan today.
And because it's not part of this agenda item, we can't really get into there's a lot of things that we'd like to do with that money, but we can't really get into the weeds of it right now without
I just don't
violating
think anyone wants to miss the opportunity to get this billboard because we don't sign a contract.
Yeah, we'll take care of that here in just a second. Thank you. Anybody else? All right. If there's not any more questions, then I will open the floor for motion.
No, I make a motion to conditionally approve the contract with Lamar based on email feedback from the Board of Aldermen tomorrow. And from
Second. Motion made by Alderman Hurst to approve with conditions, and seconded by Alderman McDonald. Any further discussion? Question? Yeah, that was my suggestion, was to look at the 6-month contract, see if we can do that.
Is there additional costs associated with adding a modular for special events? Because I'm assuming there'll be additional costs for that, so I think the 6-month contract, I just want to make sure that we're including that in that.
Yeah. Are you good with that, Ms. Whitson? Okay. All right. So motion by Alderman McDonald, you seconded it, or you made a motion, you seconded it, okay. All right, any further discussion? Question called by Alderman McDonald. All in favor of conditional approval of item L, say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, say no. Any abstentions? That carries 5-0. M has been pushed back to the next meeting. Next is item 6, executive session. The Board of Aldermen will enter into a closed executive session to discuss the following. A, pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.071, to consult with attorney on contemplated litigation regarding Corey Camino's Tejas LLC, DBA Proveco Tejas, and Miss Brooke May. Y'all sit tight. We'll go into the other room back here, do this really quickly, and then we'll be right back. So 8:15, we're going into executive session. All right, time is 8:44, and we are leaving executive session and reconvening into the regular Board of Aldermen meeting. Item 7A, return to open session, discussion and possible action on agenda. Item 6A, and action is Mr. De La Rosa, as we discussed in executive session. That's kind of the direction that we want to go.
Very good.
Any other comments or questions from the board?
None.
No. Okay. All right, next item on the agenda is adjournment.
Move to adjourn.
So moved, 8:45.